In this video, we're going to talk about breath and how breathing can affect your heart rate variability, and the autonomic nervous system. In particular, we can talk about breathing techniques that can help regulate or calm your autonomic nervous system to your benefit. When we think about the autonomic nervous system as that part of our primitive brain that automatically puts in place all the things we are doing but don't have to think about doing, such as breathing, our heart rate, temperature regulation, peristalsis, which is contraction of your gut, and sweating. Now, it turns out that breathing, when you don't think about it, is under the thrall of the autonomic nervous system. But the power of the breath is that it is the one component that is affected by your autonomic nervous system that has a dual control. That means it responds to subconscious commands when you're not aware. But importantly, you can take control of your breath, because now I can do a conscious breath. And I've completely changed the cadence of my breath. And we can talk specifically about how delivering specific inputs can trigger a change or a modulation in the autonomic balance in the autonomic nervous system through breath work. In controlling your breath, the first step is being aware of breath. For example, if it's a very upper chest, high rate of breathing, mainly mouth breathing, not nasal breathing, these are all markers of breathing through the lens of a highly expressed sympathetic nervous system or fight or flight response. And that's the exact opposite of what we would like to do for most of our patients. Once they become aware of their breathing, we go to step 2, which is to take control of their breath consciously. Now, there are several principles of breathing that I always say to my patients are pretty critical beyond awareness, which is to now take an active breath through your nose, which means actively close your mouth and breathe in nasally. That's number 1. Number 2, try to breathe in to your diaphragm, which means a belly breath. And the easiest way to demonstrate this is to put one hand on chest and one hand on belly. And on the breath in, the belly should expand outwards like this. And on the breath out, the belly button should touch the spine. The chest need not move if we're doing that shallow breath pattern. And when we're nasal, we're diaphragmatic or belly breathing. And the third component is the cadence, so slow and rhythmic. So slow down the breath and make it rhythmic, which means that the rate of flow of air through your nose needs to be constant throughout the breathing cycle. The ideal breath is said to be a breath that takes 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. Now, for most patients, that's going to be a long time. But whatever cadence you choose, let's say 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, put it in through the nose and make the rate of flow of air the same throughout those 4 seconds, which means it's a breath that is steady. And out. Rather than that steadiness of the breath will do something very powerful to your autonomic nervous system. It will change the inputs and regulate the inputs almost in a sinusoidal pattern where you go up and down in a nice gentle curve. And that form of breathing is called coherent breath work. So just to recap, nasal breathing into the diaphragm, the cadence needs to be slow, ideally 5.5 seconds, and rhythmic, which means the rate of breath needs to be the same throughout. Now, the fifth thing, which is a bonus point, is to breathe into the heart, which means that when you breathe, after you've settled into a motion of breathing, for example, for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and it becomes second nature, bring in a positive feeling. Because the combination to access and modify the autonomic nervous system through what's called a bottom-up approach, i.e. taking a breath to influence the inputs into your autonomic nervous system, combined with a top-down approach, which is changing your thoughts and emotional state to bring in something positive, to feel gratitude or compassion. This combination is the most powerful way, in my experience, to settle and regulate your autonomic nervous system. And this is one of the reasons why meditation, which encompasses both breath work and mindfulness, is a particularly potent combination to regulate the autonomic nervous system and heart rate variability. So the specific way in which breathing controls the autonomic nervous system directly is through this phenomena called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. And actually, respiratory sinus arrhythmia is the fundamental basis for heart rate variability. And it goes something like this. You take a deep breath in and your heart rate goes up. And you take a deep breath out and your heart rate goes down. And this variability in the heart rate going up and down in cycle and in concert with your breath inhale and exhale is what gives you, at a fundamental level, heart rate variability. There are many types of breathing exercises, and it can be confusing to understand which would be the best breathing exercise for you. When we think about the autonomic nervous system, in my opinion, the most important breathing exercise to practice on a regular basis is coherent breathing. And not everyone will achieve 5.5 seconds in and out on the first go. You might start with 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out, but keep up with the practice. Do it daily, 2 minutes a day. Tomorrow, do 2.5 seconds in, 2.5 seconds out, and you will feel more comfortable slowing your breath down. And you know you are recalibrating your body's homeostasis. Regular practice of coherent breathing has been shown to reduce inflammation and to help patients feel more calm, to sleep better. And actually, the HRV, or heart rate variability, a marker of the autonomic nervous system, can be improved by regular coherent breathing practice. How much time should you spend practicing coherent breathing? I would say a minimum of 10 minutes at least twice a day, ideally when you first wake up and before you go to bed. And the benefits of coherent breathing extend way beyond the time of practice. In fact, if you practice more on a daily or weekly basis, you will notice that your HRV improves over that time. What I'd like to introduce is the idea that the autonomic nervous system has truly multifaceted inputs. So what drives you into a fight or flight response may not only be a dysfunctional breathing pattern. It could be the fact that your blood pressure is low. It could be the fact that you are not hydrating enough. It could be the fact that you're still living with your mother-in-law. All these factors clearly are inputs into the autonomic nervous system. And what we're talking about is addressing some of the ways in which we can influence them, which are under our control. You might not be able to control how your mother-in-law speaks to you, but you can certainly control your breath. But you also have to think, am I hydrating well? Am I sleeping well? Am I going for a walk or doing as much as I can without triggering post-exertional fatigue? Am I doing all the other things around the edges of the inputs into the autonomic nervous system? But breath is a given fundamental that everyone with a complex chronic illness needs to do. To recap, the control of your breathing will be able to influence autonomic nervous system function. Specifically, if you breathe in a particular way, and I would recommend coherent breathing, over a period of time, you can regulate your autonomic nervous system so it comes away from being so dominantly in fight or flight mode, shifting back towards a more balanced rest and digest dominant mode. Over time, breathing in a coherent way can help improve heart rate variability and improve your symptoms.